Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Astottara Shishimad ISKCON Founder Acharya His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Gaho Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Gopinath Syamakunda Radha Kunda Shri Giri Govardhan Ki Brajabhumi Shri Vrindavandam Ki Shri Dham Mayapur Ki Gangamai Ki Jamunamai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Shri Shri Radha Madhav Astasaki Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskricha Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasa Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abadeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyanagana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 31, entitled Scheduled Incarnations of the Lord. Nandam cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād nandam cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā ca ahny āpṛtaṁ niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā nandam ca mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā ca ahny āpṛtaṁ niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā Nandam cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād. Gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā ca. Ahny āpṛtaṁ niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa. Lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā. Nandam cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād. Gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā ca. Ahny niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa. Lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā. Nandam cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād. Gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā ca. Ahny āpṛtam niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa. Lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā. Ladies, nandaṁ cha mokṣyati bhayād varuṇasya pāśād. Gopān bileṣu pihitān maya-sūnunā ca. āpṛtam niśi śayānam atiśrameṇa. Lokaṁ vikuṇṭham upaneṣyati gokulaṁ smā. Nandam, unto Nanda, the father of Kṛṣṇa. Cha, also, mokṣyati, saves, bhayāt, from the fear of, varuṇasya, of Varuṇa, the demigod of water, pāśāt, from the clutches of, gopān, the cowherd men, bileṣu, in the caves of the mountain, pihitān, placed, maya-sūnunā, by the son of Maya, cha, also, ahni āpṛtam, being very engaged during the daytime, niśi, at night, śayānam, lying down, atiśrameṇa, because of hard labor, lokaṁ, planet, vikuṇṭham, the spiritual sky, upaneṣyati, he awarded, gokulaṁ, the highest planet, smā, certainly. Lord Kṛṣṇa saved his foster father Nanda Mahārāja from the fear of the demigod Varuṇa and released the cowherd boys from the caves of the mountain, for they were placed there by the son of Maya. Also to the inhabitants of Vrindavan who were busy working during daytime and sleeping soundly at night because of their hard labor in the day, Lord Kṛṣṇa awarded promotion to the highest planet in the spiritual sky. All these acts are transcendental and certainly prove without doubt His Godhead. Please repeat. Lord Kṛṣṇa saved his foster father, Nanda Mahārāja, from the fear of the demigod Varuṇa, and released the cowherd boys from the caves of the mountain, for they were placed there by the son of Maya. Also to the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who were busy working during daytime and sleeping soundly at night because of their hard labor in the day, Lord Kṛṣṇa awarded promotion to the highest planet in the spiritual sky. All these acts are transcendental and certainly prove without any doubt His Godhead. His Godhood. Nanda Mahārāja, the foster father of Lord Kṛṣṇa, went to take his bath in the river Yamuna in the dead of night, mistakenly thinking that the night was already over. Thus the demigod Varuṇa took him to the Varuṇa planet just to have a look at the personality of Godhead, Lord Kṛṣṇa, who appeared there to release his father. Actually, there was no arrest of Nanda Mahārāja by Varuṇa because the inhabitants of Vrindavan were always engaged in thinking of Kṛṣṇa, in constant meditation on the personality of Godhead, in a particular form of samadhi or trance of bhakti yoga. They had no fear of the miseries of material existence. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that to be in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by full surrender in transcendental love frees one from the miseries inflicted by the laws of material nature. Here it is clearly mentioned that the inhabitants of Vrindavan were extensively busy in the hard labor of their day's work, and due to the day's hard labor, they were engaged in sound sleep at night. So practically, they had very little time to devote to meditation or to the other paraphernalia of spiritual activities. But factually, they were engaged in the highest spiritual activities. Everything done by them was spiritualized because everything was dovetailed in their relationship with Lord Kṛṣṇa. The central point of activities was Kṛṣṇa, and as such, the so-called activities in the material world were saturated with spiritual potency. That is the advantage of the way of bhakti yoga. One should discharge one's duty on Lord Kṛṣṇa's behalf, and all of one's actions will be saturated with Kṛṣṇa's thought, the highest pattern of trance in spiritual realization. So, here in the second canto, we're describing the incarnation Lord Kṛṣṇa, who descends once in the day of Lord Brahma, and he descends merely for the pleasure of his devotees. āpṛtaṁ sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. Of course, incidentally, he kills the demons as well, but his main goal is to give pleasure to his devotees. He's known as Bhaktavatsal, one who is the property of his devotees. He can only be conquered by this pure bhakti, love of Kṛṣṇa. So here it's describing, first of all, that Nanda Mahārāja, he had observed the Ekadasi, and on Dwadashi he decided early in the day that he would take bath during the Dwadashi. And of course, Varuṇa, he made a kind of a ploy to have Kṛṣṇa come and visit him. The demigods are always eager because they themselves are all devotees, although sometimes we see that they may be tarnished by the modes of passion or something because they're running this material world. So Varuṇa's servant came and arrested Nanda Mahārāja, the father of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Of course, Kṛṣṇa, he says, aham bija prada pita, sarva yonishu kuntiya murtiya sambhavantiya. He's the father of all living entities. From him, everything emanates. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. And Queen Kunti, she says to Kṛṣṇa, when she meets him, that in Hastinapur, Kṛṣṇa visits Hastinapur, and she offers prayers saying that, how can I understand that fair personified is afraid of you, but you look very fearful when Mother Yashoda is chasing you with a stick? So this, of course, we know that Kṛṣṇa has all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, and he himself assumes the Yogamaya potency. He comes under the influence of his own Yogamaya so that he can experience the fear of a child, being a naughty child. He's being very naughty. We know that he would execute a lot of mischievous activities, breaking Mother Yashoda's yogurt pots, stealing yogurt, feeding to the monkeys. He would go next door, steal the yogurt, makanchor, steal the butter, and break the pots. They're very mischievous. This is what little boys are like. Very kids, they're very mischievous. So he's experiencing, under the Yogamaya potency, he's experiencing these rasas. And he's, as much as devotees are experiencing the pleasure of childhood pastimes, taking care of Kṛṣṇa. Rupa Goswami says that in Vatsalya Ras, there is the emotion of maintenance. The Nanda Mahārāja and Mother Yashoda, they feel that they have to take care and maintain their son, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Although Queen Kunti is trying to understand, he is the Supreme Lord, and he has arranged that all the Kauravas, Duryodhana and everyone, he tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, time I am the destroyer of the world, I have come to engage all men. Except for you, the Pandavas, everyone on this battlefield will be slaughtered. So Kṛṣṇa is arranging the slaughter of all these impious kings. That's why he came. They went up, the demigods went and prayed that to Kshiradakshaya Vishnu. The Mother Bhumi, she's overburdened. She went along with the demigods. She's overburdened by the weight of demoniac forces. They're taking over the planet. They're imposing adharma. Adharma, dharma, mitya. They're imposing adharma or sinful activities, demoniac activities on the citizens of the world. So Kṛṣṇa again and again, schedule incarnations. Ramadeshu murtikaya, how's that go? Ramadi murtishu kaya nema. Nanavataram akarod bhuvaneshu kintu. Kṛṣṇa swayam sumabhabhad. Paramapumanyo. So Govinda, he descends out of his mercy, and even if he kills all these demons, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that all the Kauravas, all these evil brothers, Duryodhana and Dushashan and so on, they all actually, because they saw Kṛṣṇa on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the supreme absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, the soul of the entire universe, as Uttara addresses Kṛṣṇa, oh my dear Lord, soul of the universe, the Brahmastra is coming to me. Let it kill me if you will, but please protect my embryo. That Dronacharya's son, āpṛtaṁ, he was so envious. He was so envious that he wanted to kill the last descendant of the Pandavas. How much envy is that? So, these beautiful prayers are being offered to Kṛṣṇa, and these wonderful activities are being recorded here in the topmost of all scriptures, the Srimad Bhagavatam. So how is it that Lord Kṛṣṇa is lying in the lap of Mother Yasoda, although we know all the universes are entering? Yes, Lord Brahma prays that Lord Vishnu is breathing out universes and then also inhaling all these universes. This is the Vedic cosmology. They say, asatyam apratishtam te jagadahura. They say the universe has no controller, but we accept the authority of the great sages. Dharmam tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam navai vidu rishya napi deva. That Lord Kṛṣṇa empowers the sages and Lord Brahma himself to dissipate and have complete and perfect knowledge of how this universe came about, how all the living beings, all the various species are coming, how they're all produced. Lord Brahma is empowered by the Lord himself within the heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhika Avaye. So Kṛṣṇa is doing so many things simultaneously without any effort, and yet they dare to declare that God is dead. Famous statement by Bhaktisiddhanta. They dare to declare that God is dead. Kṛṣṇa is very much alive. In fact, Adantaracha Paramanu Chantarasta, he's in every atom, between every atom, and he says, I'm in everyone's heart. How's it go? Sarvasya Chaham Ridishani Vishto. He's in everyone's heart, and he's the source of their remembrance. So it's such a foolish person. So many of these fools, even they say, I am following the Vedas. There was this little boy, Kṛṣṇa. How could God be a little boy? Prakashananda Saraswati was criticizing Lord Chaitanya as a sentimentalist. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended, he's Kṛṣṇa himself, and he's exhibiting what it means to attain the highest, Pramartha Mohan, the highest goal of life, the highest benefit, Prema Artha, the highest benefit, how to love God, the intrinsic nature of the soul, our birthright, how to develop feelings for God. Kṛṣṇa. Why? He's the most beautiful. He's the most opulent. He is full of all six opulences. He's the wealthiest, strongest, most attractive. Kṛṣṇa. And so the foolish, as Prabhupada says, mundane, the mundane wranglers, he calls them, are simply propagating this atheism that there's no God, there is simply a big explosion, Big Bang, and somehow everything came together. And we got order from chaos, reverse entropy, they say. All these foolish speculations, they go on speculating for millions of years. But Kṛṣṇa says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha mudho yam nabhijanati mam evyam paramavyayam. He says, I never manifest myself to the foolish and less intelligent. Never. They're covered by my maya, which gives them nothing but misery. So we can take it for granted that here in Kali Yuga, where the entire world is being overrun by demoniac forces and demoniac personalities and foolish leaders, right? Yeshu sampara destrinam patatam tamasihi adaya. Foolish leaders are leading people into darkness. Shraddhavan pariyopetas. They put faith in foolish leaders. Bhajanti ashma plaba eva. Just like a captain, he brings all the passengers onto a boat, but unfortunately the boat, Ashmaplava, is made of stone, and it simply sinks. So Krishna tells Arjuna, Patanti narake sucho, they're gliding, kama bhuteshu, patanti narake sucho. They're, because of mutual desire to gratify their senses and engage in sinful life, simply patanti narake, they're simply gliding down to the hellish planets, as described in the 5th canto by Sukadeva Goswami, is described in the 3rd canto by Lord Kapila Dev. How at the time of death, the foolish materialist is can't even speak properly, and he sees the Yamadutas, the messengers of Lord Yamaraj, Pluto's messengers coming to grab them. So Krishna's pastimes are here being described and illuminated for us. And Krishna is proving his godhood here. Although Nanda Mahārāja, the gopis of Vrindavan, they're really not concerned what that Krishna is God. They're so absorbed and overwhelmed by this ecstatic love for Krishna. They just know him as being the son of Maharaj Nanda, Nandana, the son of Maharaj Nanda. So we hear Rupa Goswami elaborates on the most intimate and confidential activities of Lord Krishna and his devotees in Goloka Vrindavan, of which we have a replica of Gokula Vrindavan not far from here. And Lalita is addressing Radharani. Rupa Goswami writes that who was the son of the king of Raja, whose sidelong glances are he is like a sculptor, an expert sculptor, whose sidelong and piercing glances are piercing the chisel-like and rock-like, are piercing the rock-like, hard rock-like chastity of married gopis. So Rupa Goswami is empowered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only gave us his Shashtakam prayers, the 8 prayers, but he himself, it says that just as Lord Brahma, his heart was filled by Lord Krishna empowered Lord Brahma, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So similarly, Krishnadas Kaviraj writes that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the heart of Rupa Goswami and gave him unlimited ability to write wonderful poetic expressions and reveal to us the most confidential aspects of pure love of God. And those are were being written by Rupa Goswami. He was in Jagannath Puri visiting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Chaitanya had instructed him to stay in a hut and near the ocean. And when Rupa Goswami, he wrote a beautiful prose, a beautiful poem about love of God. And when he went to take his bath, Lord Chaitanya found this little poetry on the thatch roof of his hut. And it's Radharani speaking, meeting Krishna. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, they went to meet Krishna at Kurukshetra. And Radharani is saying, oh, I'm back again. I'm meeting my dear old friend, Kṛṣṇa, at Kurukshetra. She says, it's the same moonlit nights here at Kurukshetra, the same moonlit nights. It's the same, my same friend, Kṛṣṇa. But I long to go back to Vrindavan underneath the kalpavriksha trees along the banks of the Yamuna. I long to see him in his threefold bending form and playing on his flute the 5th note. So this beautiful poem reveals Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Mahabhav, Vipralambya, his feeling, always feeling separation from the son of Maharaj Nanda, always wanting to meet the son of Maharaj Nanda. This was the mood of Mahabhav that is being given to us. Only a few devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, the Supreme Lord, Madhavendra Puri, Ramananda Roy, only a few devotees understood the most secret emotions that Radharani felt for Kṛṣṇa, their mood of separation. And Srila Prabhupada used to say, you never think you've come to meet Kṛṣṇa. There's never that feeling. He says there's always the feeling of separation. And Lakshmi Shankar, she actually sang a song, Kṛṣṇa, where are you? George Harrison, he helped compose this song, Kṛṣṇa, where are you? And Prabhupada said, this is the perfect mood of the devotees. Always feeling, how can I attain Kṛṣṇa? How can I attain his lotus feet? And Queen Kunti is also saying, Namaha Pankajan Maya Bhaya Namaha Pankajan Maline Namaha Pankajan Chaya Namaste Pankajan Graye. That, oh my Lord of the lotuses, you have a navel which resembles a beautiful lotus flower. You're always garlanded, maline, you're always garlanded by a beautiful garland of lotus flowers. Your lotus eyes are always resembling lotus petals. And your lotus feet, your feet are always engraved with the marks of lotus flowers. In this way, always meditating on the lotus-like form of Kṛṣṇa. Rupa Goswami writes also in the Vidagdha Madhava, he's saying that he's writing, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would listen to these recitals by Rupa Goswami, sometimes by Swarup Damodar, sometimes by Ramananda Roy. In ecstatic love, Lord Chaitanya's feelings would become satisfied by hearing these beautiful recitals. And one recital, Rupa Goswami is saying that Lord Krishna's wonderful voice, his thunderclap voice, his joking words, the ornaments, the tinkling of the ornaments on his body, his anklets, his bangles, his shark-shaped earrings are always tinkling, and the sound of his flute. These four sounds, when they enter into the ears of the gopis, they take nest there like a cuckoo bird. A nest is made, and the gopis are not able to hear their calling, the calling of their husbands and relatives to come home and do their wifely duties. Like these beautiful poems are being written. Lord Krishna resembles a lotus flower, his lotus eyes, his lotus lips, his lotus navel, his lotus hands, his lotus feet. Rupa Goswami writes in the Vidagdha Madhava that seeing Lord Krishna, it resembles a forest blooming full of blue lotus flowers. And that Krishna's lotus eyes resembles an explosion of white lotus flowers. In this way, these beautiful poems are being recited by Rupa Goswami for our benefit, so we can get a glimpse of what it means to experience some attachment to Kṛṣṇa. Rupa Goswami writes in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that pure devotional service is when one is so attached. Raganuga Bhakti begins. It's very rare. It's when one becomes so attached to Kṛṣṇa that he can never forget Kṛṣṇa. That is the perfection of life. And here, it's described that the inhabitants of Vrindavan, iha yasya harer bhaktir, karmana manasa gira, that all their karma, all their activities, their minds, their intelligence, everything was always engaged, absorbed in the transcendental activities of Kṛṣṇa and his activities, his pastimes, whether he's running away from Mother Yashoda, or he's herding the calves and cows with his cowherd boyfriends, or he's teasing the gopis. So many wonderful activities are going on constantly. And Prabhupada writes also, the prayers of Queen Kunti, he writes in the purport that all the personalities, all these great sages, all these great devotees who have perfected their lives and are tasting the nectar of love of God, Kṛṣṇa gives them the opportunity to go and have pastimes with him, because Nitya Lila, his pastimes are always going on somewhere within the material universe. Every day of Brahma, once in the day of Brahma, And there's trillions of Brahmas, right? Our Brahma is very small. He only has 4 heads. We know that some of the Brahmas, when they went to Dwarka to meet Lord Kṛṣṇa, some of them had 1 million heads, 10 million heads. Some of the universes are far larger than our little universe. So Prabhupada, the first time I went for a walk with Srila Prabhupada was in Portland, and we were walking in a park, and there was some ducks, in the pond, and some frogs. And Prabhupada stopped us. Donavir, he was the president at the time in Portland. Prabhupada said, turned to us, he said, "So what is Mr. Frog saying today?" Frog-like speculators. In the second canto here, Sukadeva Goswami, frog-like men, they're always speculating and talking, Gramya Katha, Prajalpa, talking about, oh yes, this is how the universe came about. What's his name? Stephen Hawkins. A brief history of the universe. He writes these best-selling books, and people become atheistic. But there, in that verse, Prabhupada describes that the snake of time is eating away, just like the snake, he eats the frog. So the snake of time is eating away their lives. Ayur harati vaipum sam udyanyastan chayana so. That by the rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one, Uttama Shloka Vartayan, who is engaged in describing beautiful and transcendental descriptions of the Lord as given to us by the great acharyas. The great acharyas are so merciful. This is pure transcendental knowledge. Srila Prabhupada himself said, whoever reads his own books, I am reading my books every day, because it's Kṛṣṇa who wrote these books. Kṛṣṇa wrote these books. I am simply the instrument. As Kṛṣṇa tells Arjuna, oh Savyasachan, you're but an instrument in my plan. So this is the plan for the age of Kali, that these great acharyas, Nilambar Chakravarti Thakur, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, Sridhar Swami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, all these great acharyas. Krishna says, Acharya mam vijaniyam navamanyeta karichit namartya buddhya suyeta sarvadeo maya guru. That the great acharyas are like the sum total of all the demigods, and they are to be accepted as good as my very self. Acharya mam vijaniyam navamanyeta karichit. You should never think they're ordinary human beings. Krishna Shakti Vinana Tara Pravartana. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya says, one of the devotees, I think it's Swarup Damodar, said, no one can spread the great movement of Lord Chaitanya without being empowered by the Lord himself. Krishna Shakti Vinana Tara Pravartana. Kali Kalir Dharmarup Krishna Avatar. Krishna Shakti Vinanahe Tara Pravartan. Harinam Sankirtan. So this is the process in the age of Kali. This simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Kriteya Dayate Vishnum. The yogis are meditating for thousands of years in Satya Yuga, and they attain self-realization. They attain the Vaikuntha planets. But in Kali Yuga, Kalir Yad Dari Kirtanat, simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Hari, it's stated that one can become a pure lover of God. This is the process, no other process, right? Nastyeva, nastyeva, not by yoga, not by jnana, not by karma kanda, none of these. Lord Chaitanya rejected all of this. Only by Srinadapi Sunichina Taroreva, humbly chanting the holy name of the Lord, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. Prabhupada describes that Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they were big ministers here in West Bengal, before it got split. They were big ministers of Hussein Shah, the Muslim emperor. Highly qualified. But when they approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in Prayag, in Varanasi, they came with straw in their mouth. They approached him like beggars. And Sanatana Goswami told Lord Chaitanya, I know nothing, because I don't know what the purpose of my life is. Just like Arjuna told Kṛṣṇa, I don't know what I'm bewildered, completely bewildered. What is the purpose of my life? What should I do? So in this way, Sanatana Goswami and the 6 Goswami, they gave up all trappings of aristocratic life. Raghunath Das Goswami, it said he had more wealth than the king of heaven. And his wife, he had the most beautiful of wives. That's what people want in Kali Yuga, right? That's what they're after, money and beautiful wife, handsome husband, lots of money, right? Idam adya maya labdam imam prapshe manoratam idam astidam apime bhavishyati punar janam. I have so much wealth, and tomorrow I'll gain more. In the future I will gain even more wealth. Everyone's thinking I have 1 million, I want 10 million, like this is demonic mentality. Demonic mentality, and that mentality disqualifies people, disqualifies. You can never get Krishna, you can never understand the existence of Krishna. How he is running through the forest of Vrindavan, how he's dancing with the milkmaids, the gopis of Vrindavan. Actually, the great sages in Dandakaranya, they took birth as gopis to experience and taste this conjugal love, but parakiya bhav, lawless love. The gopis are leaving their homes in the dead of night. And Krishna is playing his flute, and the flute, the Murali flute, is especially designed for the gopis. Rupa Goswami says, Vamsi Venu Murali. The Murali is especially mystical. And when it enters into their ears, they run off. They leave their little babies, everything. Sometimes they're not even properly dressed, and they run to the forest. Where is the beautiful prince of Vrindavan, the blue prince of Vrindavan? And then Krishna, he meets them and he gives them instructions on the proper code of conduct for married women. What are you doing here in the middle of the night? You should behave yourself. The gopis simply want to please Krishna. There's not a tinge of lust there. There's no lust. It's simply a desire to please the Lord. And Rupa Goswami writes that just as in Vrindavan, when Krishna is herding the cows, that the dust from the hooves of the calves, they create a kind of darkness. So similarly, the Vedas is Krishna's Leela, Krishna's most confidential activities, and the truth of who he is oftentimes covered by the dust of the Vedas. So the Veda Vadaratas, people may study the Vedas, but Krishna says to Arjuna, Naham Vedar na tapasa na danena na chejaya. Nasakyam evam charjuna jusavan asim. You cannot see me in this two-armed form by studying the Vedas, or by giving in charity, or by performing great austerities. Demons perform austerities. I know where I live, in North America, US, people get up at 5 in the morning, Prabhupada said, and they rush at breakneck speed to work, to make some money, to work hard labor, and then they come home at night and simply suffering and simply wasting their lives. This is the materialistic maya, mama maya, so powerful that they're working hard. So Krishna says, you cannot, perform great austerities and realize me. So many yogis are doing so many things. He says, Bhaktistu ananyaya shakya ahamevam vidorjuna gyatum drastum chatadvina prakishum chaparantapa. That you can only know me when your heart becomes only me. That's all. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matpara. He says, surrender utterly to me. Utterly. Give your heart to me this one time. Prabhupada said, take this one lifetime. Take this, make it your purpose in life Lola Shamai, with great greed and samutkanta, great eagerness, you try to serve the Acharya and Kṛṣṇa and go back home, back to Godhead. The Prabhupada told us, make it this one lifetime. Don't dilly-dally. Don't, oh, I did some devotional service. Now I'm going to take a break, watch some sports, watch something or other, some nonsense. Atyahara prayashascha prajalpa niyamagraha janasangas, associating with materialistic people, covers the mind. The mind becomes clouded by this association. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'd rather be in a prison, a jail with tigers, than associate with materialistic people. Asatsanga tyage vaishnavachar. Give up the association of the non-devotees who are simply covered by the modes of nature. Mama Maya Dira. Prabhupada, when he came to Boston, Commonwealth Harbor, he offered a prayer to Kṛṣṇa. And he immediately noticed that all these American people, all these Westerners, they're covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. In these lower modes, one can never understand how is the nature of God. He says you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding only by pure devotional service. So how will they understand this message of Veda Vyas? Will they ever understand it? Somehow or other, Prabhupada said, Bhaktisiddhanta sent some souls, good souls, all over the world, sent to assist Srila Prabhupada in this great Sankirtan movement to establish the foundation of the Sankirtan movement. So he registered the movement in New York. Very, very humble beginnings in the Bowery, in the slums of New York. Have you been to the Bowery, Prabhu? I've been through it once. It's pretty bad. Makes Calcutta look like a ballpark. And so Prabhupada started with very, very humble way, but it's the modus operandi of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He takes the most humble, most disqualified, and he empowers them how to spread this movement of Lord Chaitanya. Patita pavana tevo avatar, mo samo patita prabhu napai bear. He is merciful to the most fallen, to those in the most distress. And he's patita pavan, he too. Otherwise, people are very proud. As Queen Kunti says, Janmaishvarya Shruta Shibir, Edamana Manapuman, Naivarhati Abidatum by Twamakinchana Gocharam. That you are the property of the materially exhausted, the materially distressed. So people, they're so overwhelmed by materialism in the Western civilization, so-called civilization. They're looking, where is peace? Where is happiness? Where can I find some nectar? I'm not getting it in my fancy Lamborghinis and my beautiful homes. And my wife, she has plastic surgery. And she wears very opulent clothing. There's no nectar there. What's going on? I thought this was going to be nice. But jalam tadud vaisyanam hitvagya jalam kamyaya mriga trishnam upadavet yatanyatra artadrik swataha. Just like the deer is standing over a well full of water, but it's covered by grass. And he's looking out into the desert, and he sees the mirage in the desert. Looks like water, and he goes running out into the desert, trying to get water. He's very thirsty, and he falls down and dies of thirst. So similarly, people are looking outside of themselves, bahir arta manina, looking outside of themselves to get the nectar. And the nectar is there, cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. The nectar is there in the holy name. The holy name. Rupa Goswami writes, I don't know how much nectar these two syllables, Krish and Na, possess. When this nectarine sound enters one's mouth, one desires many, many mouths. And when it enters into the holes of one's ears, one desires millions of ears. And when this nectarine sound enters into the courtyard of the heart, it renders the mind inert or immoved, and the senses become inert. So the holy name, if we give it an opportunity, will conquer us and give us the ecstatic pleasure after which we are always anxious. The ecstatic nectarine taste, because namnamakari bahuda nija sarva. All of Krishna has invested all his potencies, all his nectar in the sound Kṛṣṇa. So when Radharani, she heard Purnamasi mentions in the Vidagdha Madhava, she mentions, oh, I've heard a boy named Kṛṣṇa is somewhere in this forest. And Radharani hears Kṛṣṇa. And suddenly her body becomes overwhelmed by trembling and shuddering. And she's saying, why is my body trembling? I don't see any cold wind. There's no cold wind blowing. There's no snowfall falling. But my body is trembling. Out of ecstasy, Radharani's body, ecstatic love for Krishna, just by hearing 2 syllables, Kṛṣṇa. So much potency. This is the treasure that Lord Chaitanya is giving us, this gem. Do we want it? One day the Prabhupada asked one lady, an Indian lady, and I think it was in Ohio, Prabhupada, how can we get Krishna? And she just came to the university program. Prabhupada said, do you want Krishna? And she said, no, Prabhupada. Yes, he said, that's the problem. You have to be greedy for Krishna. Do everything possible to get Krishna's glance, to win his glance, to win his favor. And the secret is to please the glorious spiritual master, the great Acharya. That is the secret. Yasya prasadad bhagavad prasado. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Scheduled incarnations of God coming to help the devotees and give them great bliss. Any comments or questions? We have 7 minutes. Countdown.
Hare Krishna.
Apollo 17. Yes, Prabhu.
You said that if someone had friends that were karmis, and they should leave those friends. But if a person had friends that was karmis...
Can you speak a little louder? There's a lot of fans going here.
Hello, hello. And a person had friends that were karmis. Would it not be, if they liked them, to share what they had, or would it be better to leave them?
Can someone translate?
Is it better to try to influence your karmi friends rather than leaving them? Rather than giving up those friends, try to bring them in.
No, we're not impersonalists. So your friendship, you use your friendship, you give them your association. But if they say, oh, let's go for a drink at the bar, which is very common in the West, let's go have a nice smoke. No thanks, Prabhu, not today. Or sometimes, Prabhu's even cautioned us, sometimes you're invited to someone's home and they're eating meat. That is, you will become influenced by their mentality if you eat food cooked by non-devotees. Prabhupada says that. So we have to be very careful that we give association. We distribute prasadam. Come for dinner. Oh, I'll cook for you. I'll cook for you. Then we offer to Krishna. They get the mercy. So we have to be very careful in our association. There's a famous story that Prabhupada said. I don't know if I have time to talk about it. The monkey and the crocodile. The crocodile offered the monkey to go across the river. And the monkey, no, you're going to eat my heart. I don't want to go. No, I promise. I won't eat your heart. Come on. So the monkey, okay. So he got on the crocodile's back, and in the middle of the river, the crocodile said, now I'm going to eat your heart. And the monkey said, well, unfortunately, I left my heart in the tree. So like this, Prabhupada said, leave your heart at the temple and you go and give your association. But always be careful. There's always, Prabhupada said, even on the royal highway, there's sometimes accidents. So we must be very careful. When we're shaving, sometimes we cut ourselves. So the maya is very powerful. And we want to always protect our devotional bhakti lata or lata. Bhakti lata, avoid becoming contaminated. Anyone else? Yes, Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhu. I have a question about acquiring taste.
About?
Taste. Yeah. We are so long associated with the material energy that it's very difficult to get a taste for chanting, taste for doing any service, taste for reading Prabhupada's books. It all seems like a big chore. So how can we get taste for doing these things?
One time a devotee was saying like this, Prabhupada, I'm having so many difficulties. Prabhupada said, you put your faith in me, I guarantee I'll take you back to Godhead. So he is the captain of the ship. The favorable boat is this human form of life, and the favorable winds are Prabhupada's book, Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's teachings. So we have favorable winds, we have the perfect captain, most qualified captain, Srila Prabhupada, and the boat, this human body, with the intelligence, the Tattva Brahma. Now we can use our buddhi, the Dhammi Buddhi Yogam. Kṛṣṇa also works as the Chaita Guru within our heart, right? He gives the deep, Jnana Deepena Bhashvata, he gives the light of knowledge to us. So, but we have to also make an endeavor to practice Bhakti Yoga seriously. Lose our complacency, lose our despondency. Don't fall under the spell of lamentation. Don't become complacent. Oh, I've been in the movement 40 years. Come on. Give me a break. Bring me some grapes. Where's my limousine? I have to go to catch a plane. You know, like this. No. Dambo darpo bimanas, pride, false arrogance. This is will uproot our devotional creepers. So we have to protect the devotional creeper and keep beating the mind with shoes and a broomstick every day, every morning, every evening. So what is the shoe? Mangalarti, chanting japa in the Association of Devotees, Tulsi Arti, very powerful. Prabhupada said one who sits in front of Tulsi and chants, this is a very powerful combination. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, studying Prabhupada's books, and also trying to give it to the fallen souls. Not that because you're born in India, you're not fallen. Prabhupada once said to Hayagriva, he was saying, oh, in the West we're so fallen. Prabhupada said, you think in India they're not becoming fallen? They're also committing, he said that to Hayagriva. He said, so don't say, in his, Hayagriva's editing his book, don't say Western. Say the entire world is influenced by this Kali person. This Kali is he's creating havoc in human society. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.